wrap up the webinar within the hour and a half. We may be a few minutes over, but we're really, there were a lot of interesting discussions we didn't want to close down. Just a quick run through. We wanted to have a few reflections from each of the breakout rooms, as not everyone was participating in all of them. So I'm going to ask our facilitators now in each of the breakout rooms to give us a very short 1 minute, 2 minute, a few highlights from just their breakout room. So if I first turn to the breakout room on offshore fisheries and aquaculture, if Wenche and Jan, if you could put your camera and your sound on and tell us a little bit about the discussions in your room.
Okay, yes, we were a quite small group, but even though we were covering the whole aquaculture chain with somebody growing the fish, somebody making it into to food and equipment suppliers within this. So, but it was a very good discussions, and everybody could talk to everybody since we were such a small group, which was good. When it comes to the insight, I think we started with one very important point, that even for the side streams, it's extremely important that the quality of those are very good. So if you're going to use the side streams, especially for food, you need actually to take care of it from the first minutes when it's caught. So that's not something which you just leave aside during your processing of the fillets or whatever there is, and then you start taking care of it. No, you do it immediately so that you have the same quality of the side streams. I think that's one of the reflections which we have made here, which means that it's important to have equipment which supports that, and business models which supports that, and everything. There were no direct commitment. There were good discussions, and people will contact each other afterwards, both when it comes to on different, and even we were discussing and connecting between those which participated here and our network outside, which were not participating today. So I think that's also a good kind of takeaway, that we are able to see that, oh, these companies they should work with other companies, even though they were not in our breakout room. So
yeah. That's great. And I really like that. That's both supplier and user perspective on side streams. And yeah, I think just being part of today is kind of the first step in getting access and contact to more persons in our networks. So hopefully that conversation will continue. So thank you so much, Wenche and Jan. We'll take the next breakout room, which was offshore low-trophic aquaculture, primary macroalgae. I know you had a fairly large group. Alexandra and Sven, if you could come on camera and turn on your microphones and tell us a bit about your group.
Yeah, it was a really lovely discussion. We didn't have too many people. It was a nice group size in the end, so we got to have a real discussion about it. Sven, please just add to anything that I'm saying, and I'll pass over to you as well in case I forget anything. But like the first group as well, Jonna and Wenche, we had people from all across the macroalgae supply chain, which was really interesting. So those that are both harvesting and cultivating, those that are kind of doing the secondary processing biorefinery, or at least thinking about doing it, those that are then developing a value add products like cosmetics and biostimulants. And then what was a really interesting addition to the conversation as well, we had a gentleman, Sanjay, from marketing. And I think this is a really interesting perspective to bring into this whole conversation. I would say it was the challenges in general, and to kind of summarize them, I would say that a supply chain that's fragmented, some gaps between the cost of both harvesting, but especially cultivating, and then perhaps the gap between who will then be the off-taker and who will buy this material. And then what then is the challenge of making these conversations happen between the biorefiners and the processors and the potential buyers and the biomass producers, and then to really understand that it is quite necessary to have high value products being developed to make this all make sense, and to understand what all that collection of information looks like. And also with our larger scale seaweed producer that we had in the room, unfortunately he couldn't stay too long, but there it was really about the the need for automation, standardization, and the fact that this is kind of having to be invented as the industry grows. Sven, do you want to, did I forget anything there?
No, I think you covered the whole story. So we sort of started with the understanding that some of those cultivating technologies are not very easily scalable, and the experts and funding for that are necessary. And then on the other side, if you're harvesting, then it also might not be too sure who will the eventual buyer, as Alexander also correctly pointed out. So I think those were the two main pillars that the discussion sort of was going around of.
That's great. And did anyone find a match?
I think they did, because we had biomass producers and then potential off-takers and further up the value chain. I hope that certainly there is people that could be matching. So I hope that they take the opportunity to connect on BlueBioMatch.
And yeah, of course, there is actually an algae working group on BlueBioMatch, and I would definitely encourage everyone in the macroalgae to go there and continue the conversation, and even with more persons that will also be able to be giving insights. Let's go to the next one, offshore low-trophic aquaculture when it comes to bivalves. Juliana and Sylvia, what kinds of insights did you receive from your group?
Yeah, thank you. Sylvia, please, if you want to add something, just let me know. I can start. So yeah, it was very interesting. We were a small group, so that encouraged the interaction. So yeah, the offshore from bivalves, we have a challenge that has been shared by everyone. We have only producers. We don't have equipment or other parts of the value chain. We have someone that already have the product, or people just cultivating. So the conditions of the sea are quite challenging for the cultivation. So the infrastructures that they use to cultivate needs to be quite strong because of the difference of the tide, the strength of the waves, and these kind of things. So to keep the mussels or the bivalves in their structures, it's a challenge there. And of course, the monitoring of the conditions and to be able to foresee the differences, the variations are very important, because they are determining the quality of the product and also the rates of mortality and these kind of things. So we already identify some actors in BBM that are developing these kind of devices for real-time monitoring. They weren't there, but we know them in the BBC network. So we are going to put people in touch, in contact. But yes, so some of the new technologies, this was very interesting. So it's the Earth observation technologies and satellite technologies that can help to forecast the conditions, or at least to identify them well, and then know exactly what is happening in the sea, and then how it impacts the cultivation, and then afterwards be able to modulate something. So that was one of the technology that came there. So very interesting. And yeah, I think that it was more like, yeah, water quality monitoring and these kind of things mainly.
Yeah. And maybe very quickly, also another point that came up very interestingly, it's also a reflection also on the importance of multidisciplinary collaboration. I think that one of our partners was establishing, for example, how when you kind of build these systems of monitoring and control, you don't only necessarily need the data, but you also need the people that kind of like understand the data. And so you need the input of maybe somebody that is specialized in data science, but you also need the input still of those that really can see what the data is for itself, which was also a very interesting point, I think, that might also be relevant for other value chains.
Thank you so much, Juliana and Sylvia. We'll go to the last two, and I know we're going over time. I'm hoping people are patient to wrap up with us, stay a few more minutes. Let's go to the land-based aquaculture, Jürgen and Victoria. You can give us a very short.
Yeah, for us it was a very interesting talk. There was a lot of interaction actually. And actually, with the first presentation that of Ocean Bites looking somebody to work with them to fight their challenge, there might already be a match with somebody that was also present in the breakout room. But the challenge there on monitoring and of nutrient in your water and automatically adapting your feeding on it also brought us to the dream and the integrated aquaculture, multi-trophic aquaculture, where you can combine different kinds of aquaculture species together, would actually be more facilitated if you would really manage and get those monitoring system working very fine. But even for the technology supplier, there's still some challenges to combine them if there are different species and to really get the nice dosage together. What also was interesting to see is how can they work together, because okay, we have farmers. This technology is a high investment. They don't always know if it's going to work. The technology suppliers have used a lot of their brains to develop something, also put some money, and there seem to be like who is going to, if we're going to scale up, because that was also one of the challenges we will have in Europe. It seems that the technology will have to be a bit different, and again will be more expensive. And the question will be who will take the risk, the financials, to set up the big scale up. And it seemed that there should be like a supportive system, that a farmer or the technology supplier should not be taking the full financial responsibility to implement the scale up, but it could be like a third party, social investors, government, or other venture capitalists that do see a possibility to support both actors in fulfilling the scale up. So that was a bit our conclusion.
Yeah, that's so interesting. A lot about, in trying to invest in the next steps. Okay, we'll try and wrap up and take the last group in microalgae, obviously land-based. So Mariana and Diana, if you could give us a quick summary of your breakout room.
Yes, sure. It was a small group. We were just 5 participants, but we operating in broad stages of the value chain. So we have companies, we have researchers, we have startups. So different types of application and different types of needs. But we started the conversation exploring upcoming projects of the participants and the tech needs. And for example, Lara asked for specific support to detect the best species to produce the biofilm that they are now trying to work in Finland. Using wastewater, so from fish farms. So we have also here cross-sectoral collaborations that we can support. Jordan presented us the novel photobioreactor for GMP. GMP is very important to assure the quality of the product for healthcare and other food applications. So it's very important to have a photobioreactor that allows this certification, and it leads to Benoit that present as his startup that is working on specific healthcare and is now looking for finance. He's already overcome the tech needs, and he knows very well how to extract the compounds of the microalgae, and he's looking for funding at this moment. So we have tech needs, funding needs, and we have also a participant very looking for more information about aquaculture and how the aquaculture can be part of a salicornia production, and we can have here cross collaborations, for example, in final products, so incorporating microalgae in salicornia final products. Neda, share with us the regulatory challenge that she's facing because of using mixed food-based and animal-based compounds to create feed formulations. So experts in quality would be plus to support Neda in this journey. And also we start matchmaking because Neda and Lara they will continue a conversation in BlueBioMatch because they find that NEDA can support somehow Lara in looking for the best species to overcome the challenge of biofilm production. So wrapping up, it was what happened in this room.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And of course, BlueBioMatch does also have a microalgae, or part of the algae working group is also microalgae, if I'm correct. And going back even to RAS and aquaculture, again,